Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along. It is a post-match pish. It is a triple threat on post-match pish tonight, and you're probably wondering, why is Phil talking when the usual two for P.M.P are on? But yes, Russell's having a few internet connection issues tonight, so he's asked me to lead just in case he randomly disappears off the screen tonight. He's up to high dough right now. He's going to have more grey hair than me at the end of this. With how,
Day 4 of this shite.
Aye, that obviously wreaked havoc at the weekend as well. So, but we're up and running just now. So hopefully it holds out for the rest of the show. But yes, it is P.M.P Champions League. P.M.P is another point, not plaudits perhaps. Is that the way we can look at it? But yeah, we are on 9 points after 6 games played. I'd say we're still on course, but already I can see in the chat there's a few mixed reactions. So it'll be interesting to see how people have watched that tonight, how they viewed it when we look at the bigger picture. But yes, as I said there, the usual P.M.P crew are here. So, Russell, despite all your internet connections, how are you feeling tonight, mate?
It's a mixed one, isn't it? Because if you can get a 0-0 draw against Atalanta, which for some reason is now constantly being described as Bergamo. I mean, I've never heard this description of Atalanta before. Everyone just now talks about Bergamo all the time. It does my fucking box in. But if you get 0-0 there, the same result against Zagreb, I don't know. I thought tonight was a missed opportunity in some ways. I think, though, what you've got to then balance that with is expectations have risen because we've done better than normal. And also, on the other positive of it, I felt was if we've ever done 6 games with 1 defeat at Champions League level, when? Because we've not, right? Since it's been the group stage format. The problem, of course, is the one time we do 6 games with only 1 defeat on our record, we've not got the job done. We're not actually through, and it's an 8-game format. And the only worry I've got is we've left everything now riding on young boys at home, and that is. And I'm not sure if that was maybe part of the plan tonight. It didn't feel like we went full throttle at any point for the 3 points, which I always think when the games are there, don't leave it to one, right? We've discussed this before in other scenarios over the last few years on the bus where I'm going, it's a risky fucking strategy that when you're going, right, we'll just leave it to that game because we'll bank on getting the job done there. But we've had 2 opportunities now. Bruges, don't get me wrong, I think we're maybe not underestimated by Celtic, certainly by maybe us. And I think they were actually an excellent side. Tonight we didn't play an excellent side. And it didn't feel to me that we ever went for the jugular at any point or played with that sort of purpose like it was a must-win game. It felt like we played it as a must-not-lose game. And by doing so means that young boys at home match takes on a whole new dynamic. Maybe it's one that we're feeling extremely confident about doing, but just from previous plenty of experience watching Celtic in Europe, that to me is it gives me this fear a wee bit that we're just riding on one game at home, get the job done there through. When we've had a couple of bites at it now to have actually sealed qualifications so far, I've not been able to do it.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest fears that I've had going along in this campaign is I don't want it to go down to Villa Park where we need to get something, and we're now in a position where if we blow it against young boys of Bern, then that's the scenario we'll find ourselves in the last game. But before we even get to that, Terry, how are you tonight, sir, after that game?
Yes, not bad. Can't really argue too much with Russell's summary there. I think it's the complete opposite of the 0-0 in Atlanta, which for long spells of that game we got a football lesson and we just hung on and got the result by hook or by crook. Whereas tonight, that's probably the most comfortable away point that you could possibly hope to get. And I think part of me thinks, I'm happy to have got the point. Would we have got that point last season, the season before, 5 seasons ago? Probably not. But we kind of dictated the pace of that game tonight, and I think that we had another gear to go up, and for whatever reason, we didn't go full tilt to get those 3 points. And just a little niggling part of me just thinks that was a victory that was there to get. However, bigger picture, stepping back, 9 points after 6 games. I'm not too bothered about the young boys game. I'll start to get bothered if we have to go to Villa and we still have to get something there.
Yeah.
Young boys are right down there with Bratislava. If we don't get the job done, then we don't deserve to go through. And so on the balance tonight, although I think we were slightly the better side and we dictated things, I still don't think we did enough. We did enough to really say that we deserved to win or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, there was a couple of chances towards the end where the ball just didn't fall right for us. But over the piece, I mean, we weren't shooting in. We'd loads of possession, but a lot of it was slow. A lot of it was trusty to Carter Vickers, back to trusty again. And I think we got that same problem that we've had a few times where we couldn't get the ball from the 2 centre backs to McGregor quickly enough.
Yeah.
And then you're really relying on the other midfielders to try and get on the ball. And I thought Bernardo played okay. I thought Hatate was extremely wasteful, and I'm not talking the defence splitting passes that just don't connect. I'm talking basic, simple 15 and 20 yard passes to a teammate. Those weren't coming off either. And when they're not coming off, and the worldly ones aren't coming off, then he cuts a very frustrated figure. So over the pace, I'll probably wake up tomorrow and I'll think, yeah, do you know what? Job done. That was a good point. Well, a little bit of disappointment. I just felt we had another gear there, and we could have pushed and possibly got the 3 points and took any nerves out of that next game. Well,
it's interesting that the two of you have had a sort of similar mindset that, you know, we could have took the 3 points. I don't know, Russell, you wouldn't have seen the interviews at the end of the game because you were watching it at a friend's house. Austin Trusty did a post-match interview and said that the players are disappointed in he called it the locker room, because obviously being an American, but he says that they're disappointed in the locker room because they came to win, he said, which is weird because it didn't feel like we really came to win, because as Terry said there, we didn't really make any great chances. It wasn't like Shakhtar a few years ago where we played them off the park and we were coming away generally like, I cannot believe we didn't win that game. But yeah, it's more a case of, I feel like we kind of played within ourselves there, never really made any great chances. But yeah, the players' mindset, Russell, does seem to be that they felt that they came here to win. But yeah, just going to get the job done for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. But it's interesting to hear one of the players going to admit that, isn't it?
Is he admitting it, or is it just sort of word
maybe
play?
hindsight?
I think it's the right thing to say after that you came to win a football match, but you know, your eyes don't lie. That it seems to be, you know, that points not plaudits thing. Fucking Brendan's been watching the bus too many times, because that was definitely on the agenda tonight, was don't get beat. And the one thing I'll say as well about the thing with the thing was with the performance, we actually controlled that first half like we very rarely do away from home, right? Very rarely do we control football matches at Champions League level. But when I say expectations have went up at this level, one thing I will also caveat that with, when we're playing teams of a certain standard, the big change against Bratislava was we did what we should do, and that was take them to school. Tonight, what we should have done was win that football match. I'm not going to say it would have been a 5-1 like Bratislava, but if you then flip your eyes over to the quality that Dinamo Zagreb brought to the party, I didn't think they were great shakes at all. I didn't think they were a particularly good side, and I know it's Champions League level, and it is. At the end of the day, you can only play what you get drawn with at this competition. They are in it on merit, but I mean, if you compare that with some of the sides that we have played and are still to play in terms of Villa, that they're not nowhere near that. And my worry is that now it's all hinging on young boys. We've got a break from the tournament as well. Loads can happen in between that time. We expect a bit of domestic bliss, of course, but we'll set the tone for that this weekend, ironically, whether it is going to be domestic bliss or not. So that ramps the pressure a wee bit up on that game, because when we go into the young boys Bern game, their whole dynamic as a team may well have changed as well. It looks to be like they may enjoy domestic bliss, whilst in Europe might be falling short, and they might be 2 months of, you know, an unbeaten run or something like that, or a you know, a very strong run of form anyway. It might be a different animal completely to what the other sides that have faced them in the Champions League so far are. And, you don't want to end up, I don't know, getting beat at home off them, a 1-0 defeat, and then going to Villa Park and relying on it. And then you start looking back at, or even drawing and it being nip and tuck. We've had this in our hands tonight. I think Bruges was the one we thought we could maybe, we're talking about top 8 before Bruges being a potential if we beat them, and that was when I think we got a point earned against the side that I felt had us, Denise said it on Twitter, but sussed. I got some backlash for that one. And then I look at tonight and I felt, well, we're a better team than them. We're proving we're a better team than them. We're controlling the pace, controlling the tempo, but we're not actually willing to increase it. I don't know. I've got a niggling feeling that we've just put unnecessary pressure on one game. It's going to boil down to Young Boys is now effectively a final for us. And I'm not sure when I look at the points accumulated before Bruges at home and then Zagreb, it had to be this way. I think Bruges were the unexpected one, and we probably could walk out going, well, we normally get beaten those, which was my attitude at the time, and I stand by that. Tonight, I think we should have got 3 and we didn't. So it's put a lot of pressure on the next fixture, put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just European PTSD setting in for us Celtic fans, because we've seen all of it happen to our club over the years. But yeah, Young Boys are burnt. I think the last time I saw the table, are still sitting on 0 points, so they're down near the bottom anyway. They're effectively out. There's no way they're going to qualify, but they're going to be coming to Celtic Park. You'd like to think, well, they've got nothing to play for. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Sometimes it's a
2.1 million euro. 2.1 million euro. I mean, we're quick to mention all that stuff when matches. I mean, of course they've got stuff to play for, and a lot of players, if they are playing for themselves and not, if we think the modern players in it for their own agenda, they've got 2 more shop window matches on the biggest stage. So trust me, there's plenty of reasons for them to be motivated when they come to Celtic as well. It will definitely not be a game where you see a side coming along to Celtic Park with nothing to play for. No way.
It's just there is that looming danger, say PTSD perhaps setting in. But Terry, one of the things about tonight that I think also emphasised that maybe this was 2 points dropped and it was there for the taking is near the end of the game, maybe about 10 minutes to go. The way Zagreb were beginning to play, and the commentator even said it, they're quite happy to settle for a point, which is weird because they had 7 points before they kicked off against us tonight, and their last 2 games are Arsenal and AC Milan. Now, we keep talking about the 10 points being the hallowed number, and it was like Dinamo Zagreb at that point were happy to settle for a point, so that kind of showed me that they were there for the taking. If we just, as you said, found that extra gear, but when you look at it as well, though, Terry, there was that gilt-edged chance right at the end where a brilliant pass from Forrest through to Engels, gets to the byline, cuts it back, and fair play, it was great defending by the big fella to stop it from Adamida getting a tap in, and that's the difference. That's the fine margins at this level, mate.
Yeah, you have that one, but I can't really think of any other sort of real glaring ones. Bernardo's free kick wasn't too far away, but it was always just gone over. I think
McCowan at least tested the goalie when he came on.
McCowan tested the keeper.
I think he was obviously told to do that.
Yeah, but again, it's not as if we were shooting in. It's not as if we can say there's any hard luck story tonight. We just didn't do enough. But I think I totally get the disappointment, and I feel it. But I think as well, at full time in that Dortmund game, or even at halftime in that Dortmund game, if you were told you would have the home game against Young Boys to go through, you probably would have took that at that stage. And I'm not. I'd rather look forward to that game now rather than be nervous about it. I mean, they're sitting after 5 games and minus 15 goal difference. I'm looking forward to that game. I'm not going to worry about it. I think it's one that we'll win, and we look forward to it, and we go through at home, and then the Villa game's just an extra game that we've got in the competition. But I prefer to look forward to it with a bit of excitement and think about the chance that lies ahead rather than what might have happened had we gone for it tonight, or what might have happened if we got the job done against Bruges or whatever. I think at the end of the 8 games, you step back and look at it, and if we're through, then that's job done. And I still think very, very strongly that that's what will happen.
Yeah, I think I've said that a few times on other shows, is the benefit for us in the position we're in and the level we're at is we've got a massive target to aim for. in this league phase, because it's obviously we just want to be in the knockout stages regardless. Obviously, the big elite teams, they want to avoid this extra round, so the top 8 for them, it's they've got to get that to just avoid these 2 extra fixtures. But for us, say the target is massive for us, so that's why when the full-time whistle went, I know there was a bit of back and forth, shall we say, in the Bhoycie Bus group chat, some interesting takes, but hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. But I say I'm quite zen about it, where I'm like, okay, it was a frustrating night. Yeah, they probably were there for the taking. But the bigger picture is it's 9 points, and yeah, the young boys are better games still to come. Then we should, be looking to get the 3 points on that one when it rolls around. I believe it's 6 weeks still to go on that one, so still quite a wee wait on that one, unfortunately.
See if the last 2 games were the other way around, and we were going away to young boys and then home to Villa, I probably would be a bit more concerned about it. But I think that's just a date now to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at it. I mean, on one hand, there's the PTSD thing that you mentioned, Phil, and then on the other hand, there's going, well, the Zen factor where you go, well, 1 defeat in 6, would we have took that at the start? Would you have took not getting beat at Atlanta away? Would you have took a point in Zagreb on paper before a ball was kicked in this competition? Would you have took beating Bratislava at home? Would you have accepted the defeat to Dortmund, albeit 7-1? You just said, well, one of them is going to be like that anyway. It's the Champions League with Celtic. Everything probably is going to plan, but it's okay to also shift your expectations as a competition begins to play out. And as you see encouraging signs, it's okay to then expect a wee bit more. I think probably the more niggling thing for me is what Zagreb actually brought to the party tonight. And that's where I'm probably at going, I get maybe the outlook initially, and that being the mindset. Look, if we get the point, don't overdo it, don't get caught out. We come away with a point. But as the game's progressing, I think the changes, bringing on McCowan, for example, I think was definitely defined to going, right, we need to start getting some shots on goal here because we're quite clearly capable of beating this side. Yeah. Albeit I didn't feel, even with the subs, there was a huge shift for Celtic in terms of their overall momentum and mentality towards the match, which I don't really get, to be honest with you. But for me, that's the biggest frustration is we know what we were against tonight. Young boys on paper looks like a shoe-in. Don't fall in that trap though, because you need to remember the reason you've PTSD for Europe's been mentioned is Bodo Glimt on paper against Angie's all firing rock and roll football looked like it was going to be fucking, that's a shoe-in at home, and it was a disaster, both those legs. That wasn't long ago, and I just feel that when we put all our eggs in one basket, which it kind of is like, and I know that there's obviously the talk I've seen in the live chat there, don't get beat off young boys better than we should be through. That's also cagey then, because then you can end up in that halfway house where you're playing your natural game. Are you're going to put in a Zagreb type performance, but potentially Schmeichel doesn't make that save that against that header, and you somehow you come a cropper, and it's all riding on that one. I just felt that because of now knowing what Zagreb bring to the table, that's maybe where the disappointment lies, as opposed to going into it, coming away with a point. I probably would have still rolled the dice and hope we got 3 points before it fell. But if you said, look, it'll be a draw, I wouldn't have been pissed off. Now, having seen them, I'm not saying I'm pissed off, but they're no great shakes. It's a different point for the one that came from Bergamo, since no one says Atalanta anymore.
It's interesting as well though when you're talking about a point in Zagreb at the start of the tournament, because I remember when the draw was made and all the fixtures came out, I myself was the exact same. It's like, we win the home games, and the away game that we should be targeting for a point is Zagreb away at the very minimum. But of course, we got a bonus point effectively going away to play Atalanta, Bergamo, going there and getting the point there. So that's obviously the expectations also been pushed up by that one. But I think we're still on course. But the thing is as well with the you're talking about somebody said in the chat about just don't lose against young boys of Bern, and that should be enough. Now, of course, this is the first time this format's ever been done, and again with simulations, 10 points seems to be what was the general consensus, but goal difference could come into it. And I think saying, Terry, you might know the table. Are we on 0 goal difference right now?
Definitely we are.
Exactly 0. I think so.
I think we are, yeah.
Oh, 100% we are. We're definitely on 0 goal.
Because if, for example, say
17th in the table,
yeah,
0 goal difference. Yep, 100%, mate.
Yeah, because if we say we do draw with Young Boys of Bern, and I say, okay, 10 points, well, that should be us now. But then if we go to Aston Villa and say we lose by a few, let's say we have a disastrous night, and then we're on 10 points, what if there's a whole cluster of teams on 10 points around about that 24th place? And then goal difference could come in. So we don't want to be looking at going into the Young Boys game in 6 weeks' time and going, a point would even do tonight. No. We want to go out there and make sure that we get the job done, and that would take us to 12 points, which I would think then we can say that should be more than enough for us to get through. Because as I said at the top of the show, my biggest fear with the way the fixtures all came out was I don't want to have to go to Villa Park and need something on that last game. Like, really, I just don't want to be in that position.
I think as well, it's really easy right now to be talking always about the bigger picture and the table and that, which of course is fundamental to getting through. But also, it's a post-match show, and over the 90 minutes, that's what I'm kind of looking at. That's where the disappointment, because I like where we are on the table. I like the fact we've only lost 1 game in 6, and that's the Zen aspect that you're talking about. But we've got to be real about who we played tonight. Now we've seen them, because it's easy to judge when you see them. We conceded 9, I think they conceded the first game of this campaign and stuff. It's easy to fall in the trap thinking they're going to be utter shite. Yeah, but now we have seen them. We've got the 90 minutes experience of playing them away from home. That you've got to look at just the 90 minutes on your own and say, did Celtic impress anyone tonight? And that's probably the fair conversation, as well as, if you want to go bigger picture, saying, I'm quite happy with the big picture. Me too. But in terms of the 90 minutes we just watched, that was underwhelming, I would describe it as.
They must be better than they showed tonight, though. I mean, the crisis stories, obviously, I don't know any other players, so I don't know who was in and who was out. But for them to have got the points on the board that they've got, they must have something more about them than what they showed. They must have been missing some of their better players, you would think. I
think the manager's won 5 out of his 12 games so far, Terry.
But they couldn't be that poor. They couldn't be as bad as they were tonight. Like,
I say, Terry, the weird bit for me was the fact they're happy to settle for a point really late on. We still having Arsenal and AC Milan to play. It's like they must be backing themselves. They must have something if they think that, because going by what they played tonight is like no chance.
That's the shockwaves we've created in Europe, mate. Do you know what I mean? We were the trickiest out the 3.
Maybe they're not that arsed. Maybe they don't care if they get through or not.
No, they'll definitely want to be through. They want to get about it and get that money. Say money's the most important thing. The Champions League, those riches of the Champions League. See, Croatian football isn't exactly swimming in cash, so they'll definitely want to be about it. But yeah, it was a strange way to go about it at the end of the game, where they just decide to settle for a point with those 2 games and the wings for them. But hey, that's their choice.
I thought I heard that they've won their league like a ridiculous amount of times in successive seasons, and now they're in 3rd place and
that's they changed manager, Terry, and he's won 5 out of 12.
Aye, that's not good.
That's not. I think we caught them at a good time. If you're being like, they're not in great shakes right now. They're not in great form. They're not dominating the league they normally do, and they didn't cause us many problems. Other than, funnily enough, the best save of the night was ours.
The breakaway at the end with the header and Kasper Schmeichel tapping over. But in terms of the overall performance and who did stand out, because obviously we've got a rather large game coming up, Terry, this weekend. Alistair Johnson did go off injured. Have we had any updates on the severity of it, or has nothing came out yet? Is it all?
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything post-match at all, so I don't know around that one.
And but who was a standout tonight? Who do you think did put in a good shift? I thought Bernardo again was a very tidy performance from him. I think his distribution was good. Won the ball back quite a few times. Just to say overall there was just a lot of silly mistakes here and there across the team. But I think Bernardo did put in a good performance in the middle, and again giving food for thought to Brendan, Terry.
Yeah, so I suppose Maida I thought was good in the first half. Then I think the fact that he was on a booking kind of negated his influence a little bit, because he couldn't go into the tackles with the same ferocity as he was doing prior to that booking. Greg Taylor wasn't a yellow from the 5th minute, which again, if you think that was both of those players on that left hand side after 35 minutes were were on yellow cards, and you're always worrying. You've always got that in the back of your mind as well. This game looks comfortable. This game looks set up for us to do something. Before you know it, you're down to 10 men out over something stupid. So I think that hamstrung us a little bit on the left. Then losing Johnson on the other side had an impact as well. Rolson was his sort of usual self. Just lacked a little bit of quality whenever the opportunities came for him to cross the ball from good positions. The quality wasn't there. Kuhn looked dangerous when we got him on the ball. I just don't think we got him on the ball often enough. Midfield three, probably Bernardo was probably the most impressive of the three. I just thought again we struggled to get McGregor on it. Hatate was wasteful. Kyogo didn't do a great deal. I'm not sure there was that many really, really good performances ahead of well, to get the job done tonight, but also ahead of the weekend where I don't think there's anybody really, really nailed down a jersey for the cup final.
I know there is a few positions that will be up for grabs on Sunday when it rolls around, but that'll take care of itself when it comes. So I'm not too concerned. I know there's a few reactions as well about the way they've been playing recently and whatnot. Again, it'll take care of itself come Sunday. But yeah, you brought up a comment there, Russell, as well from Strange Love the Doctor about the structure behind the ball and the pressing went back. Again, I think that was a plus tonight because again we controlled the game so well. Again, without making any real massive great chances, I just felt really calm and comfortable throughout the game. So that is definitely a plus as well, no doubt about it. A very accomplished and mature performance when you look at it from that sense. Because again, we can point to our PTSD over the years. Those are the type of games we could easily lost in the past. We've seen them.
Two ways about that.
The amount of shocking goals. How many times have I said on this show, Celtic doing Celtic things in Europe? Get the bingo card out for some of the mad things that happen to us in Europe. It's an own goal, we get a red card, we cheap giveaway in possession or whatever that leads to a goal, giving away penalties or whatever. So all these things seem to happen to us all the time. But not tonight, I think we were really comfortable and assured. So I know some folk in the chat are obviously saying about we know they were there for the taking, but it's a frustrating night in that sense. But I'm still very confident that we will all be fine in that sense when we get to the young boys.
There's a huge two sides to this debate, and I think this is where it's getting maybe lost in the wash when I'm looking at the live chat, and it's quite evident that any point away in the Champions League is a good point.
Yeah.
Right, for Celtic. No one could deny that. That's your bigger picture perspective. Going to a place like Dinamo Zagreb, if you said that every summer you were going somewhere like that, or I don't know, Ukraine to play like Dinamo Kiev and stuff like that, like, you know, the teams that are, you know, when we went to Spartak Moscow, places like that over the years, and you could always say, right, we'll get a point, right? You'd probably take that each year as one of your points in the group. No two ways about that bit. So let's park that one and say, tick. Big tick, that's a plus. Then forget the fact it's Champions League. Forget that it's Croatia. And just look who you played. Look at the 90 minutes. Look at the level of ability the team that we faced tonight had. And then give me your opinion also in isolation to the other one, to that. And I think it is fair to say that was disappointing for that aspect. So there's two sides to it. It's okay to think both. But to just be like completely going bigger picture and looking at, you know, Celtic over the years in Europe and stuff like that on that performance tells me you're already not looking at the performance itself, which is probably what you are doing because you're suiting your own argument. Whereas the reality is, in general, yes, good point away. We would take these points every single year if we knew we could get a draw year on year at that type of an away fixture. But based on the 90 minutes we've just watched tonight, they were there for 3 points. We could have got 3 off them. That's okay to think both.
Yeah, we obviously be home and dry. Say we've been in a position where we can say, you know, the 12 points that would have took us to 11 points, wouldn't it? Because we started on 8. So yeah, you'd be looking at, you know, we don't need worry about. Well, we do still need to worry about the 2 remaining fixtures, even if we did win tonight. Because I say there's still bonus money and whatnot, the higher positions you finish in. Because this is one thing I don't know regarding the knockout phase. If you get into it, how is it done? Is it a random draw again, or is it a case of what position you finish in pairs you up with a certain position?
Yeah, based on position.
So it's based on position. Obviously, the higher you get, I'm not going to say an easy team. You're not really going to get an easy team in the Champions League. But obviously, we want to try and finish as high as we can to try and get a favourable draw, because we want to keep this run going. You know, there's no guarantees that we even be in the Champions League next year with the way the qualifying goes.
So just on that, is it already pre-drawn? Position 9 will play someone?
Yeah, there is. JD's just said the chat, 9th plays 24th, so it'll be 9th against 24th, 10th against 23rd, and so on and so on. That's how it'll go till eventually you get to the middle of the table. So that's how it's going to be. So yeah, we'll actually know our opponents at full time against Aston Villa. If we've made it in the top 24, we will then know who we're playing, because all the games are played on the same day on the last round of fixtures for fixture number 8. All the games kick off at the exact same time for all 36 teams. So yeah, so there's no team kicks off earlier and knows, okay, we've got our result and whatnot. So it's one of the scenarios. But yeah, we'll know at full time against Aston Villa if we've made it through who we're going to be playing in the knockout phases if we're in it. So that's how it works. So thanks for confirming that, because I genuinely didn't know if it was just going to be a random draw or whatnot. But yeah, it turns out it's higher position then. So yeah, there is something to aim for there then. Keep on, getting.
I want to know what Terry thinks then about the Young Boys Bern fixture. I mean, obviously as I say, the dynamics completely change because time moves on. You know what I mean? If it's 6 weeks away, then a hell of a lot can happen. Or in our case, if there's a winter break, I don't know. Maybe not that much apart for the League Cup final will be huge. Got to maintain our place at the top of the league, keep a gap. Will there be a league derby before the Young Boys Bern game? Yeah, that as well. So there's a lot of dynamics that can change. Based on what you've seen so far in the Champions League so far, how confident are you that we've done the right thing by having all our eggs are in the basket of Young Boys Bern at home now? There is no two ways about that. And the Villa one, if it comes down to that being the crunch fixture, then we'll be massive underdogs. But we've got one where all our eggs are in that one basket against Young Boys Bern at home. Is that going to be one that you're confident that we'll overcome?
I'm confident, yeah. I think if you could pick one team to play against, or one of a number of teams to play against, they would be the obvious choice. And at home, I'll be 90% sure that we'll get the job done.
90%. I like that.
90%.
I like that.
Who
do you think will be a better team?
Something going wrong.
Who do you think will be a better team? Zagreb that we played tonight or Young Boys Bern?
I think the Zagreb we played tonight, they as I already said, they've got to have more about them than that. But that lineup that we played tonight, I would expect it to be something on a sort of par with that. I mean that team we played tonight are on 8 points. They've got points from somewhere, and they got points off Bratislava, but they must have beat somebody else as well.
They won their other game away from home as well. They've not won at home yet.
The only result I knew of theirs before it was they lost 9-2 to Bayern Munich, but it's Bayern Munich, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest, that was their powerhouse.
Yeah, they lost. They've won 2 games away. They've won 2 games away, but they've not won at home yet. I know that for a fact. And Terry's right. You would expect more from them. But the team that's got those points, I don't think is the team we played tonight. I think some listed injury misses and stuff like that they had. That's not the team that's won the 8 points. Definitely not. They've not put in those performances and got, like they did tonight, and got 8 points at this fucking Europa League. Like, no chance.
I think in the run up to one of the shows I was watching said they've got a lot of injury problems and whatnot, but hearing that in the run up to it, I'm just like, oh no, again PTSD kicks in where it's like, oh no, I don't want to hear about all this things, because I've seen some like Croatian journalists saying Celtic are the favourites and whatnot. I'm like, don't say that, the curse of the commentator and all that. But again, to say it's in the end, we're sitting in a good position, so we can't really grumble with that. But obviously now we look to take that into Sunday, the momentum there. And Terry, obviously we've got a 2-day advantage by playing tonight. And obviously Rangers will play on Thursday night, and they'll be playing a familiar foe as well. Obviously Ange Postecoglou will be in town for that one. we'll see how he gets on there. But I've said before, I think the extra couple of days, I don't think, Terry, we can read too much into that, because there was a game not too long ago against them a few years back when I think they played on a Thursday night and went all the way through extra time and ended up beating us in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup. But because adrenaline can carry you through in the big occasions as well. But yeah, it's obviously with the position we're in. I still feel like, regardless of if people are feeling flat tonight, look at the results we've had this season. Still not lost domestically, and obviously Sunday will be tough in its own way because it's a cup final against them. It's going to have its difficulties. But right now, are you still feeling pretty confident about it all, Terry?
Yeah, I'd be feeling confident for the weekend. I think tonight we weren't great. I don't think we were brilliant on Saturday either. I think we're due a good performance, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form concerned about Rangers stringing together a couple of results. I'm not bothered about that at all. I don't think the extra couple of days rest will do us any harm. Put it like that. If you had a choice of playing away in Croatia tonight or Thursday night at home against Spurs, I probably would have chose tonight's fixture. And I know what you've said there. Whenever it comes round to the game, it'll not have any impact on it. But you still don't want to be playing on the Thursday night before a cup final on the Sunday, especially in a game against a team where you're probably going to be doing quite a bit of chasing and quite a bit of the dirty work. But really looking forward to the cup final now. Got this game out of the way. Yeah, slight tinge of disappointment that we couldn't have got more than we did, but all eyes on to Sunday. Get that first piece of silverware. The league games will take care of itself, and plan for this sort of busy Christmas period where you're sort of playing every 2 or 3 days, and before you know it, I know there's a break now in the Champions League, but before you know it, this next round will be back round again. And I think the position that we've got ourselves in the league, I know the manager said every game he only thinks about one game. I don't believe that. I think he's thinking ahead. If Alistair Johnson's okay, then I don't understand why he came off.
Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that he's okay in the post-match. He's apparently said, I've seen the live chat a few minutes ago, it came up that he's confirmed he's okay. So that's good news then, because
but if he's okay, I don't understand why he needed to come off. Do you know what I mean? If he was still able to impact tonight's game.
Yeah, because is he not the one? Was he the player who was walking the tightrope going into the game that he would miss match day 7?
Would have missed the next. He would have missed. Yeah, he was the only player that could get booked that would then miss the next game. But I mean, it might just be it was an impact injury and he wasn't able to play on. But he's absolutely fine after it. It might be he was keeping an eye on Sunday. It might be he was thinking about the next round of fixtures as well. Who knows?
But Russell, see on for Sunday as well, and also looking at tonight's performance, midfield is obviously, there's a few question marks over certain midfielders. Hatate, Engels, McCown, and even Bernardo you can throw in there because there's a bit of rotation with him. McGregor seems to be the only one that's got a nailed-on position because he's a captain, which is fair enough. But at the moment, where do you stand after tonight's performance and even the last few weeks and heading into Sunday?
McCown can't play Sunday, remember?
Was that? Oh, McCown can't play. That's right. He's tied, so McCown is eliminated from that. It's a shame because McCown, I've always feel, has been very, very lively when he's got a game for us. But yeah, so where do you stand right now? Because Engels has just been very vocal on taking him out the sort of limelight. Obviously, he didn't start tonight. Came on, and I thought he was okay when he came on. There was a few times though he get fouled, I felt, and the referee was given his absolute hee-haw. In fact, I'm sure the header that they had near the end was a result of either. I felt get fouled on the edge of their area and they broke right up the park and nearly scored from that. So there's a couple of times Engels, get barged over, and I felt like, I thought it was a free kick.
I didn't like at the end when Rodgers just came on the park. He's done the bit of Guardiola. He's like grabbed Engels, like not like aggressively that, but like, and he started like kind of almost doing that wee 30-second coaching thing on the pitch, like. And I don't think even looked like he was taking it. I kind of bought with that. Like, just fucking get back to the dressing room or talk about it when you get back to Celtic Park, Lennoxtown. Like, I think that stuff, I kind of fuck with that, to be honest with you. In terms of McCowan, obviously he can't play at the weekend. However, I think my prediction before the Champions League ball was kicked. He'll start a Champions League game, will come to fruition. I think if he carries on, obviously with someone that Rodgers turned to, not as a token gesture tonight, as a please go and ignite some magic into the team tonight. I think if he's got that attitude towards McCowan away from home to Zagreb, I think he'll take the risk and start him against Young Boys, and that'll be the Champions League start I predicted that he would make in Europe this year, because he's someone who you need, I think, in these games. He's been given his opportunities to unlock doors, and unfortunately, Terry said it. I mean, it's not even about him unlocking the door now; it's about him knocking on it, and he's just not in form whatsoever. And I think McCowan brings a directness and a purpose to everything he's trying to do. Seems to always have end product at the end of it, whether it's an assist or a goal. Everything seems focused around that, and we need that attitude at home to Young Boys Bern. Back to the cup final, I wouldn't be surprised, based on Ataki's form, if Rodgers has now gone, right, who am I going to go with? I would trust my record signing, and Bernardo, who I trusted, what looked like ahead of my record signing, I'm going to keep him in the team, and I'm going to play them two and Kalmak, and give probably Bernardo the one to be the more creative, and just remind him of what he did at Hampden last time around. But again, I think these are all good options. I think not all players are always going to be in form at the same time. It's never been the case. It never will. Doesn't mean players instantly then become rubbish players. There's always going to be one who's a bit out of sorts, and that's why you need competition. That's the fundamental reason you have competition is, okay, you're not playing well, or you're cup tied. Well, look at the options we've got to bring in. And right now, Bernardo, for me, has been someone who's very much contributing every time he comes on, looking live. I still thought tonight, albeit he was subbed off, and I think the commentary was kind of saying, not his night. And so sure, I subscribed to that. I don't think it was Celtic's night. I don't think he was one of the more examples of that. I certainly thought he looked still more than a threat at times. He plays at the cup final, and I think Engels will take Hatate's. I think if it were me anyway, that's what I would do right now. I think Hatate's had one roll of the dice too many now. I think his form just doesn't befit getting to start every big game on the hope that he does something to unlock that door. I think right now he is out of form, and he's a great wild card to have on the bench. That's the other flip side to it. He's the one that can go, right, it's been tight, it's been scrappy. We've maybe not been as creative as normal because the three midfielders we've chosen, you bring him on against a fatigued team, he starts picking, he's seen wee gaps, and suddenly starts playing through the lines, and one of these passes eventually come off for him, and that could be in the final as coming on as a sub. It's a nice headache to have, as they say.
Yeah, well, I've used that one a few times. This is what we want. We want competition in the team. The last season, there were times where we looked bereft of competition. We were midway through the season, in particular, we were running on empty, and it was a bit of a turgid watch. But no, it's good to have these options for Brendan. And yeah, I agree with that's the midfield that I would look at as well, going on recent form and after tonight's performance. You're right about Hatate. I feel like coming on against a team that's maybe ran a bit ragged, then I think that might be a good opportunity for him to pick the bones, essentially. But Terry, in terms of the forwards as well, looking at tonight's form, has been obviously, again, we didn't make many chances, but again, I felt like when Ida came on, I felt, we had a bit of an out ball there. There was a few times he held the ball up well, but then maybe there was a slack pass at the end of it. But I mean, last week as well up at Aberdeen, in the first half, it was quite, kind of under the cosh a wee bit. Kyogo wasn't really getting the game, but I felt like when Ida came on as well, again, we had a bit more of an out ball there. So for Sunday, I mean, I still think Brendan will pick Kyogo. I think he'll still get the nod. But where do you stand on that one with the forwards after watching their performances tonight and in recent games heading for Sunday?
I still think he'll go with the same three. I think he'll go with it. But if the team was announced now and Ida was playing, I wouldn't be that bothered.
Who would you choose, Terry?
Who would I choose? Kyogo. I would choose Kyogo, but I think Ida's looking sharper and sharper with every appearance.
Yeah.
Sorry, you cut out.
Is he looking sharp, Kyogo?
I don't know. I mean, you look at the moment of class.
At present.
Moment of class on Saturday from Kyogo. That's
true.
That's a reminder of what he gives you.
That,
And
yeah.
he's a big game player. He's got a great record at Hampden. But again, if Ida started and you've got Kyogo on the bench to come on along with Hatate, that's not anything to be too bothered about. I genuinely wouldn't be bothered whichever way he goes, but I would go Kyogo. I think the manager will go Kyogo. Just your point around Hatate there, bringing him on. Hopefully the game's done and dusted, and we're not going into the last 20 minutes or whatever. But if it still is in the balance and you've got Hatate coming on, maybe that's where you might start to see the effects of the Thursday night, because of the Rangers players. I've took a bit of a chasing on Thursday night, and then you're getting to the later stages of the cup final. They might have the adrenaline to get their body through the game, but the minds might start to get tired, and that just might be where Hatate gets an opportunity to create something.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I would have started Kyogo Sunday, and I still probably would. I would have started Ida tonight, and that's a couple of times now. I think the fixture that you think Ida was brought in to start it's horses for courses, as we call it. It's a couple of times now I went, considering the form level, there's not much between them. If anything, I would say the momentum's with Ida probably form-wise, if I'm honest. Other than that goal at the weekend, absolute moment of brilliance, no two ways. But out with that, I would say Ida's probably had a wee bit more momentum than Kyogo of late. And I thought tonight would be the type of fixture. That's surely what he was brought in for. And then Kyogo at the weekend. So the fact Kyogo still starts the ones I think Ida would be more likely to start definitely leads me to thinking Kyogo will start the ones I think he would have started anyway if he's starting the ones I thought maybe Ida would have, particularly considering form. So I think it's a certainty that Kyogo will play, but he does look to me like that goal threat that he was associated with in his first 2 years fell away a bit last year, but he had the moments in the big games, and it looked like Rodgers was he was fully invested in Kyogo being a mainstay of his first team, which I think it was easy to turn the narrative and he doesn't know what to do with him, and it's an Ange player and all that stuff. I probably said it. And then this season, I do feel like there's enough examples now where Kyogo's disconnected. At no point when the good things that Celtic were doing in that first half would you be mentioning Kyogo as really much of a part of that, if any at all. Whereas you're right, Phil, when Ida comes on, you do feel that even if it's not, first class ability or quality moments you're seeing, he does seem to be in the camera on the telly a hell of a lot more. It does seem like he's more involved in the game as it's playing out, and therefore that means the ball's in the right area of the park for us, where we were a bit toothless again tonight, and we've seen it a few times. However, I do think the credit's in the bank with Kyogo. He is a slayer of a certain kind, and he is the type that will go, don't write me off at your peril. I think the occasion is set up for him. I don't think Rodgers, if he's not going to play him against Zagreb away, and what was the other fixture recently? The away fixture.
Was it Hearts?
Was it Hearts away this Saturday night? Was that the
Saturday game? Against Hearts.
I thought that was set up for Ida to start, considering what we brought to the party the game before, and yet it was still Kyogo. So I think it will definitely be Kyogo.
He's key to the press, though, Bhoycie, and you see it so much. And tonight that was probably the bit where he was influencing him, because how many times was he closing down the goalkeeper? Yeah. And you're just thinking he's going to get one of these. But then when Ida comes on, he just doesn't engage in the press at all. He's waiting till he gets the ball. That's when he comes alive.
He's focusing on the ball, mate. Definitely. I think off the ball, Kyogo is one hell of a standard. But I think Ida's more about where the ball is and where he can put the ball. I think Kyogo, whilst he's got all that in his locker, by the way, his locker room. But I think definitely off the ball, Kyogo 1,000,000%. But that's probably getting him away with some of the performances, not all. Some of the performances we've seen this season is probably because he suits the system and what he's doing not with the ball. But be honest, I mean, he's not a certain scorer now. He's not someone that you're hanging your hat on to he's not a killer, you could say. Does it feel like that before a game that you're confident there's a 50 or upwards of 50% chance he'll goal score in the game? Albeit that all said, the big games, he's still got one hell of a record, and he definitely has to start Sunday. And I think he's too much of a pest for them. And if they are tired for Thursday, then they'll be the only side who's been tired facing Ange Postecoglou Spurs in a while.
Yeah, the wheels are kind of falling off a wee bit down there, but hopefully they get back on.
Here we are, mate. Here we are.
Yeah, thanks. So,
one win in 7. Wow.
Well, not winning the P.M.P. I know that the viewers always enjoy a good longing for the P.M.P. But Russell, your internet connection is starting to shite the bed. Essentially, I've noticed. So maybe that's God's way of telling us that maybe it's time to wrap it up. It's starting to go a bit haywire. So but I'd say the headlines tonight coming out of the game is 0-0 takes us up to 9 points. We're still in a very strong position. Could it have been better? Should it have been better? Maybe. It's up for debate. But overall, we're in a very strong position. And yeah, we've got young boys of Bern in 6 weeks' time coming to Celtic Park, who I believe are still on 0 points anyway. So hopefully they're still on 0 points and we can get the job done then and there. And yes, I say overall, still in a good position. So not much about it. And onwards now to Sunday, we'll have a few more shows between now and then. Thursday night forum should be along, providing Russell's internet is still hanging in there. Hopefully we can get that on there. And on Friday night, I'll be along for the Cup final preview on that Friday feeling as well. So yeah, hit that subscribe button on the way out, folks, if you haven't done so yet. And there you go. Russell's connection's completely giving up. There you go. It's completely giving up then. But yeah, on the way out, remember to do all that good stuff, folks. Hit the like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Usually I do it at the top of the show, but I'm doing it at the end of the show now. But yeah, we'll head off now. And yeah, that's, let's see. 0-0, can't really grumble. It's a point away from home in the Champions League, a game that in many years gone past, we've seen Celtic lose through some ridiculous Celtic means. Because
do you know what? I thought it was going to be the night whenever Taylor sliced that clearance. I thought that was going to be the moment. That's the only time where I thought,
yeah,
get in.
There was a couple of times as well where, I mean, there was nothing in it, but there was a couple of times where the set pieces came in and their players were down in the ground, and I was like, please don't tell me there's been like a foul off the ball and VAR's going to nail us. That was one of the things that was just getting me, because VAR is such a wild card these days. So thank God nothing happened there in that sense. So yeah, we got through it. We got a point, say 9 points now on the board. So it's all eyes on young boys of Bern in the Champions League, but well, first and foremost, it's all eyes on the Cup final on Sunday. Terry, you'll be along for P.M.P. as well on that. I'm sure that'll be a lively one on Sunday evening. And hopefully we're talking about another trophy in the cabinet. A very significant trophy as well. Trophy number 119 it would be if it's Celtic. That's a significant number to a certain team on the other side of the city. But we'll deal with that when it comes. We'll talk about that when it happens. But yeah, we'll head off now. So thanks everyone for tuning in. There's still about 190 watching live now, but as I say, hit the like button, subscribe and whatnot on the way out, folks. And yeah, we'll be along on Thursday. Look out for the TNF as well. And yeah, we shall catch you then, folks. Right, see you later.
Good night.